So I'm Matthew Schneider. It's been a while since I've done a blog. Here is my topic for today, NBA Draft 2017. Here are my top 10 players in this year's NBA Draft. Some of them will be a top 10 pick. Some of them probably won't be a top 10 pick. But if I was picking, these to me are the top 10 players in the whole NBA Draft. And I'm not going to say them in order ranking 1 through 10. I'm just going to just go on a whim and just wrote them down as 1 through 10. And 1 doesn't mean he's number 1, and 10 does not mean he's number 10. So let's start off of a top 10 player, I think, in this draft, Malik Monk out of Kentucky. Another top 10 player in this draft, another Kentucky player, De'Aaron Fox. Another top 10 player in this draft, Lonzo Ball, out of UCLA. Another top 10 player in this draft, Jason Tatum out of Duke. Josh Jackson out of Kansas. Lauri Markkanen out of Arizona. Markelle Fultz out of Washington, who's expected to be the first pick in the draft. Zach Collins out of Gonzaga. Justin Jackson out of North Carolina. And my sleeper of the top 10, Florida State's Jonathan Isaac. Of the top 10. Those are my top 10 players to go in this year's NBA draft. Like I said earlier when I kicked off this episode, some are going to be in the top 10, some will not be in the top 10. But those are my top 10. Now, if I have 3 other picks, my 3 sleeper picks for this draft in the NBA is Jordan Bell of Oregon, Frank Mason of Kansas, and Bam Adebayo of Kentucky. Those are my 3 sleepers for this entire draft. Frank Mason can make it in the league. If you get a guy like Isaiah Thomas from the Boston Celtics at 5'9", and he can make it as an all-star in the NBA, so can the 5'10" or 5'11" Frank Mason out of Kansas. Frank Mason can make it. Isaiah Thomas made it, so why can't Frank Mason make it in the NBA? Now, there will be some busts in the NBA draft. There always are. So, of that list of the top 10, some of those guys will be all-stars, some of those guys will be busts in the NBA. And the question remains, big-time schools, for some reason, their players get to the NBA and they end up being busts. For example, Duke. Duke is a perennial power in college. But when they get to the NBA, their players, they kind of fail in the NBA. So the question remains, is Jason Tatum going to be just like every other player that went to Duke? Or is Jason Tatum going to be in a separate category of Kyrie Irving and Grant Hill as the 2 best players in the NBA to play at Duke to make it to the NBA? My answer is, I think Jason Tatum could be the 3rd All-Star to go from Duke. Yes, Christian Laettner made 1 or 2 All-Star games, but I'm talking perennial All-Star players. Guys who make the All-Star team every single year. I think Jason Tatum could be that special player in the NBA. He needs to get a little bit stronger, he needs to get a little bit bigger physically, and I think he can get it done to be the 3rd player as a perennial All-Star from Duke. Not these guys that go to the NBA and be an average role player in the NBA like a J.J. Redick. Elton Brand, on the other hand, from this guy Matt Dennis, said that Elton Brand was a multi All-Star. 2 or 3. I'm talking 6, 7, 8, 9 All-Star games, not a couple. And yes, I said your name, Matt Dennis. That is amazing, isn't it? I can call someone out on Facebook Live. Oh, and about Facebook Live. It's amazing. And here's what I'm also going to do. While I'm at this one, I'm also going to call out the father of Lorenzo Ball. I think Lorenzo Ball is his father is a piece of junk. His father is screwing him out of endorsements by running his mouth, saying the Ball brand is going to be awesome, the Ball brand is going to be the best, he could be better than Michael Jordan. I think, personally, that Lorenzo Ball's father, Lamar, is a piece of crap. He needs to shut his mouth once and for all. And all these endorsement deals that he thinks he's going to get, he won't get, because his father is screwing him right out of endorsement deals. The reason why, running his mouth. So I'm here once and for all to shut that mouth. Lamar Ball, you're a joke. You failed as a professional athlete, so you're trying to live off of your son. That to me is a joke. Let it go. Be quiet. You're costing your kid a bunch of money. And Matt Dennis, Jabari Parker, his career is already over. 2 knee injuries in, 3 years? That's a career killer. So, yes, I decided to do something different today where people are responding. So, I'm going to answer people's questions if they go on my blog while I am recording, which would be amazing. So, this is the NBA draft about to start in 10 minutes on ESPN. As far as the NBA, it sucks anyway. I don't know what trades are going to be predicting, but one of the trades that is predicting is Jimmy Butler to the Boston Celtics for a bunch of draft picks. Maybe the 3rd pick in the draft. The Boston Celtics will trade for Jimmy Butler. As far as for free agents go, Gordon Hayward to the Boston Celtics. Maybe Jimmy Butler to the Boston Celtics. If that happened, they can contend with the Cleveland Cavaliers, because you would have your point guard, you'd have your 2 guard, and you'd have your small forward. You'd have your small forward in Gordon Hayward, you'd have your 2 guard in Jimmy Butler, and you'd have your point guard in Isaiah Thomas. If you do that trade with the 3rd pick in the draft. If you keep the pick, you draft Jason Tatum. And then you sign Gordon Hayward, and you would still have your 3 players that you need. You'd have Gordon Hayward as your small forward, you'd have Jason Tatum as your 2 guard, and you'd have Isaiah Thomas as your point guard. I believe the Boston Celtics will be the team that could beat the Cleveland Cavaliers if they make those moves that I am saying. I really truly believe that the Boston Celtics could beat the Cavaliers. And I actually, as a basketball fan, I actually am tired of the Golden State Warriors and the Cleveland Cavaliers. They are killing the NBA. Now, let's go more to the draft. Let's go to point guards. I don't think Lorenzo Ball is the best point guard in this draft. I think the best point guard in this draft. I think the best point guard in this draft is De'Aaron Fox. He's not much of a shooter, which is what is going to be his weakness, but the guy can get to the basket and is athletic as heck. Plus, when you played him in the NCAA tournament, De'Aaron Fox torched you ball for 39 points. Schooled you. Took you to school. And at the end of the day, De'Aaron Fox, to me, is the best point guard in this draft. Then this guy, Fultz for Washington, is the second best point guard in this draft. I think Lorenzo Ball is the third best point guard in this draft. And they are comparing Lorenzo Ball to be the next Jason Kidd. And just because of his father and his mouth, I want Lorenzo Ball to fail in the NBA. Just because of his stupid idiot father is the reason why I want him to fail in the NBA. Just because of his dad. For being an idiot and a moron. Now, let's go to the best player, I think, in this draft. I think the best player in this draft could be Josh Jackson of Kansas. Could be to me, he's either going to be a bust or he's going to be a success in this league. That's the only way there is to look at it in this league. You're either success or you're a bust. To me, there's no in between in sports. Well, this is all from this blog today. Until the next time, I'm Matthew. Enjoy the blog!